Hey guys, I wanted to record a message. This is sort of under the You're Naturally Supernatural title. And it's just really been getting a lot of questions on fellowships and different things. Can you really bend reality? Can you really influence somebody? And people ask, well, I've been told you can't override somebody's free will. Well, the truth is, if they're in fear, if they're in anguish, if they're in depression, and you're operating in peace and love and joy, you absolutely can bend reality and raise them up to help have them heal. You can actually transform societies when we come together, which is the whole point of what we're doing. And some of the meditations we're going to start doing weekly on socialgoats.com. And the reason I'm doing that, guys, is we can reach a lot more people um, through business. Business can operate as serving people, which is the definition of ministry, just as a ministry could. It's not doesn't have to be religious. It's just tapping into the love and the ability of God of all creation. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing. But I want to show you this first clip of Joe Dispenza and Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty used to be a monk. He's got a great a great podcast with a lot of people like Joe Dispenza on there. But he talks about a random event generator that when people are operating in coherence or the higher energies of love, of peace, of bliss, where they're generating that out of their heart, it brings everything into peace and bliss, including other people, including whole societies, including whole economies. And so, yes, when we change our energy, we bend reality for a good for in a good way. And I'm going to go through a lot of sources. This might be a little longer message to give you the resources you need to go, this is real, and I can tap into this anytime I want. So I want to just show you this first recording. It's short, but it's really cool, guys.
Love that. Joe, is there anything I haven't asked you about today, or anything that's on your mind and heart that you really want to share with everyone, or something you've been working on, or anything you feel compelled to share?
Gosh, we
covered a lot.
we've covered a lot. We're doing some really cool research with random event generators, and random event generators are sophisticated coin tosses. You know, the more you toss a coin, the more you're going to get 50-50 heads or tails, right? So this program machine generates about 1,000 tosses in a second. So you're looking at a very, very sophisticated machine. And if you run it for 30 minutes, you're going to see in time an equal number of ones or zeros or heads or tails, and you're going to see the straight line. When you get a group of people together with brain coherence and heart coherence, they're emitting a field. And when we do healings in our events, 100% of the time when we do those healings, those random event generators have dramatic skews to show that random events become less random and more intentional. And it's collective networks of observers that determine reality. And it's not the number of people, it's not the amount of energy, because it could be entropic. It's the most coherent energy. And we're causing a machine that's programmed to behave in a very, very different way. And I think that idea of community, of people coming together when everybody else is in fear, to show courage, when everybody else is in pain, to show compassion, when everybody else is in anger or hatred, to show love. I mean, I think by nature as human beings, I think we are wired to give, to connect, to commune, to take care of one another, to heal one another, to shine for one another. And our data is so exciting to actually support that theorem.
Yeah.
That is so great, guys. What's he's actually saying? He said, when they're emitting a field, it's as simple as this: is your thoughts and your feelings send out energy. It has an electromagnetic frequency. It's you can feel it. You can walk into a room and you can feel if there's anger in there or if it's tense. Or you can come into another room and go, I can't even put my finger on it. There's just something about this person. They're just operating in peace and love. You can feel that. You can sense it. Animals are very sensitive to it. And so I just wanted to show you that when a group of people get into he calls it coherence, but it's really they're all just enjoying this feeling of peace, this love from within themselves. And even if people have the stressful things going on, whether it's their health, whether it's their business, whether it's things in their marriage, Uh, when they're around other people that are emitting love and peace, it actually brings their heart and mind into love and peace. It actually bends reality. It overcomes their quote will, which is really powerful. And so the great news about that is fear doesn't struggle with love. Love completely conquers it. It's as if it's not there. And so I just want to share some things with you that if there's something in your life is when you change how you think and feel, which is the whole point of prayer slash meditation, when you change your energy, your life will change, period. That's how it works. And so I just wanted to give you a lot of sources, guys, to show you that this is real. One, this is just this is just random, but one of the partners I'm in business with, he's a billionaire down in Boca Raton, and when I met him, he said, "I understand. I have the ability to bend reality." I thought that was really interesting that that was his comment, meaning that he can see and feel as if something's already real. He's not stressing about it. He's not worrying about it. He's not praying to God for it. He's experiencing what it would feel like if that was already real, knowing that that is the thing that brings it into physical reality. That energy that he's emitting, he's enjoying it as if it's already real. And he goes, I know that bends reality. you know, Greg Braden, if you've ever heard his story where he went out with um, uh, I forget which tribe, an Indian tribe in New Mexico, but he said, I didn't pray for rain, meaning he wasn't praying to God, please God, send us rain. We have a drought. Please God, fix our economy. Please God, heal this person. That's a low energy. That's fear. That's anxiousness, etc. He said, I prayed rain, not prayed for rain. I prayed rain. And so when he asked him to explain a little bit more, he said, I felt what it felt like with the rain on my face. I felt how happy I am that the love in all creation responds to me. I am so loved by God, by all of creation, by the source of all life, that it responds to me. It loves me. So I felt the rain going down my face. I felt the mud between my bare feet. I felt how happy I felt that all of the tribe was enjoying this rain and the new crops that it would bring. And he said it took him a few minutes, and then he came back and said, "Okay, our work is done here." That's pretty cool. So here's Greg Braden's definition, if you ever want to take it from Divine Matrix. He says there's an intelligent field of energy that underlies all creation, meaning we're all connected, guys, and somehow it communicates with us. It is this divine matrix that connects all of creation. It is the bridge between our inner and outer worlds, between our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, what you're doing in here, guys, beliefs and prayers we create inside of our bodies, and the effect that that creates beyond our bodies in the world around us. The divine matrix is the mirror, or it basically mirrors or shows us what we're truly believing and accepting inside of us. I've shared these quotes with you a lot of times, but it's really cool. Then we'll get into a little bit of the actual results, etc. And you just saw it with the random event generator. But yes, if you start to tap into that energy as we've been sharing, what would it feel like knowing that there is a love that responds to me and answers all my prayers? That is a powerful, peaceful energy going, I just have to experience as if it's real. And the love of creation says, oh, I see what you're desiring. I'm going to do that plus more. I'm going to make it even better. So this is from Neville. If you want to listen to it on YouTube, I think it's called How to Manifest Using Your Imagination. So it says the purpose of this is to show you how to use your imagination to achieve any desire you have. Most people are totally unaware of the creative power of imagination within, and they bow before the dictates of facts and accept life and what they perceive with their senses. Using the guy from the Indian tribe in New Mexico, hey, the facts were there's a drought. But he goes, you know what, I'm not going to bow before the dictates of facts, what the material world is, because I realize, as we've been sharing, like Einstein said, the field or the energy you emit is the sole governing principle of the particle, meaning the physical world responds to the field of energy. So if you change the field of energy, the physical world will bend and shape to match what you're feeling inside. And so they bow before the dictates of facts and accept life from what they perceive with their senses. When you discover the creative power within yourself, you will boldly, I love that. When you figure this out, guys, is what we're trying to share here. When you discover the creative power within yourself, you will boldly assert the supremacy of your imagination, or what you do within is supreme. and put all things into subjection to it. There is nothing under heaven that is not plastic as potter's clay, meaning it's moldable, shapeable. You can bend reality to the touch of the shaping spirit of your imagination. I would say this: the shaping spirit of your imagination with the emotion as if it's real. The natural man is trapped by reason and reality, five senses. This is how it is. Oh my God, the world is falling apart. The world is warming. All the things that people fear are actually generating those things. The natural man is trapped by reason and reality. The spiritual man realizes, oh, instead of trying to change the world, I just have to change how I feel within and see everything is already whole, see everything is already loving, and that the outer world matches what I'm feeling within. That's great. One more, one of my favorites, Joe Dispenza. I believe in repetition, guys, because we're rewiring and reprogramming your heart and mind. Here's Joe Dispenza, one of the greatest, I think, ever. People believe we have to drag our body through space and time to get what we want. Force, making it happen, my power. We got to change. We got to elect the right person. We got to take the right, we got to eat the right things. Um, if you watch that Jay Shetty interview, the whole thing, Dispenza actually says that. He goes, people come in there all the time that are health conscious and they're reading the labels. And he goes, they have very strict diets and strict regimens and they're all sick. He goes, until you change your energy, it doesn't matter what you're doing on the outside, all those things. And we've proven that over and over and over, guys. When you feel healthy, you're healthy because it has the energy of health. Where if I have to do these things to become healthy, it's defining a lack and saying, well, I'm not healthy unless I do this. No, no, no. My body, the physical realm is governed by the energy I create within. So he says, the truth is that matter or anything in your physical world, your physical body, etc., is surrounded by a quantum field of love. Same thing Braden said. You can learn to create from the field instead of matter. Or in other words, you can learn how to slow your brain waves down through prayer and meditation and change what you believe and feel. And the world will start to transform by what you believe and feel. When you get a picture of what you desire in your mind and you maintain the emotion as if you already have it, the really great part is I'll show here, you don't have to do it all day. You don't have to do it forever. A short period of time will start to, in a day, you can do things that transform your life and give you every desire I've ever had that you've been working for in minutes a day, guys. You have access to this ability, this power, this creative ability of God. When you get a picture of what you desire in your mind and maintain the emotion as if you already have it, independent of any situation, fact, or time, you're like a transducer. You actually collapse space and time to bring you to what your heart and mind are feeling. The event is drawn to you. You don't have to go anywhere to get it. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now, let me just give you a couple more sources. And like I said, that's one of the things we're going to start next week, these group meditations, etc. And I would encourage you to do it because, well, I'll just give you some of the results. One, when you get around, you might not know how to do it. You all know how to do it. I shouldn't say that. But you might think you don't know what to do or etc. You're actually all great at it. You're naturally supernatural, guys. But when you get around other people who are emitting peace and love and they're not they're not worried and anxious and everything else, it actually brings you into a peaceful, harmonious state where you can rewire what you think and believe. And when you change what you think and believe, you change your energy and the physical world. So if you go, everything effortlessly comes to me, abundance flows to me, divine health and love all flow to me effortlessly. It starts to happen in your life. The life will start to match what you're feeling inside. So this is from David Hawkins' Map of Consciousness. And I've shared all this with you before. But I just wanted to put it, kind of summarize a lot of this in one place and give you a lot of different sources, resources, guys, because as I've shared before, when my friend Doug showed me this map of consciousness, you can go pull any of these up, but this is from his book. He had shown me this before, and it's really interesting. Your God view. It's kind of interesting because if you have a God view, which all Western theology falls in here, that God is somehow angry or somehow might judge humanity based on what you do, you have a punitive view of God, and you're always in constant fear, anxiousness. Everything's not quite right. You're reaching out to God, please, God, don't hurt me. Look at me, I'm good over here. Or if you have if you're just, you know what, I am loved, and I've shared with you in some of those modules when like some of the studies when the AIDS epidemic first came out, when the people felt personally loved, like I am loved, they had 300,000 times more healing. Not one, not a 50% more chance, 300,000 times, guys, meaning it was limitless. And so my point of this is when Doug and I were looking at this and I said, wait a minute, I'd never really looked at this word before. It's like energetic log. I'm like, is that logarithmic? Being an engineer with some science background is like, if that's logarithmic, this is a life changer, guys. Because if you can just get somebody starting to feel a little bit peaceful, this is enormous power. It swallows up everything that's fearful, anxious, or grieving in their life as if it didn't even exist. So you guys have shared this with me, but I've shared this with you before, but I just want to put, like I said, put it all in one place. And so here's what it says. It says, so I immediately went on Amazon, got the book, delivered me tomorrow or the next day. And so, so that it'll be delivered to you tomorrow. And I just ran to the part, the levels of consciousness. And so what's really cool, guys, is they have a scale. They've tens of thousands of people they tested over the years to really calibrate this, and they know what these emotions, how much power is in all these emotions. And he says this: it's important to remember that the calibration figures do not represent arithmetic, but logarithmic. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. Holy smokes, Doug. That is life changing. We know it works, but it was just a confirmation for me. He says, for instance, the level, I should probably bring this back up just to show you. So he says the level of 300, which is somewhere, between acceptance and willingness, is not twice the amplitude of 150 of anger. It says the level of 300 is not twice the amplitude of 150. It's 300 to the 10th power, or 1 with 300 zeros behind it. Now, this is 1 with 150 zeros behind it, but just people can always relate to money. So take your salary and put 150 zeros behind it. It's good. But if you just change the energy a little bit, you got a slight raise. You didn't get 1 zero added, which would be great. That's a 10 times multiplier income. You got from 150 to 350, 200 zeros increase. That's how much power is in this. So it says it's 300 to the 10th power. Therefore, an increase of even a few points represents a major advance in power. The rate of increase in power as we move up the scale is enormous. All levels below 200 is fascinating. This is where politics and religion, all religion, guys, all. I don't care who you are. Well, my religion is this because this is the truth. All religion is divisive and separating. All politics is divisive and separating us versus them, good versus evil, which is why it doesn't really work. It just one person changes power than the next, and you get little glimpses of slight change, etc., but no really long-lasting change. So it says all levels below 200 come from force, meaning human effort, and are destructive of life in both the individual and society at large. Because, as we've shared, Newton's third law is this: if you press on something, if you're competing with somebody, there's an equal and opposite force, equal and opposite at a minimum. But if you're coming up something that has a little stronger than you, that can compete with you, you're typically going to lose. Whereas if you're not competing to go, I want everybody to win, which is win-win. People always talk about that. Very few people do it. It's enormous power. Everybody wins in that same. And so the decisive level is 200. It's the critical factor point, the fulcrum or the dividing line that divides the general areas of force, which are false truths about you, versus power, the truth of who you really are. You are actually naturally supernatural, guys. And so it says, for example, the energy fields under 200, it makes sense to nurse hatreds, cheat buyers, kill the enemy. Indeed, in certain subcultures, if you fail to carry out a revenge killing, you risk your own life. Yet in the fields over 200, such actions would never even occur to you, meaning you don't need rules to regulate society, guys. Barb and I have always said that, which is why once you understand the 10 commandments are not God with 10 rules, if you go read it in the actual Greek and Hebrew, it's you shall experience this release and power of God. It's not God on the clouds going, thou shalt not, because your brain does not understand not. We've said that a million times. If I say, thou shalt, I'm God and I've got 10 rules. Thou shalt not think of a red and black coffee cup. You just did it because your brain can only think of what you focused on. It doesn't remember the not. That's why I've shown you so many messages. There's no no's or nots in scripture, because otherwise God would be setting you up for failure, knowing don't do this, knowing that you are so wired that your brain will only create what you just thought about. It doesn't matter if you put a not in there. What he's saying here is, well, how will you know not to go do these things? How will you know to not, what does he use? How will you know not to cheat buyers or nurse hatreds? Because love has no concept of that. You're naturally giving out of yourself. You're not cheating. What does he say? Cheat buyers. You're going, I'm going to produce a fantastic product or service that's very valuable to people. You're actually flowing out of yourself of wholeness and completeness, changing the other person, bringing them into wholeness and completeness. Because if you're operating above 200, you don't need external rules. You'll naturally, says, those things that you think God's saying don't do, he goes, in energy fields over 200, such actions wouldn't even occur to you. That's not even your DNA. It's not even who you are. You don't need an outside source to tell you be good to people. You're so full of love and hopefulness. You're going to do good for other people. Nobody asked me to tell my wife to love my wife. When I feel loved and whole, I love my wife and kids. I don't need rules or a class to learn how to love my wife. When I self-love, when you guys self-love, you'll naturally love other people. It's better to experience it than read it in a book or go to a course, guys. So anyway, and then I want to just share this with you, because I've shared this with you before, because the whole thing is, can we really bend reality? Can we change our energy? When you feel what it would feel like if every one of your prayers was answered, you're up here, guys. It says, uh, it says this. He says, let's see. He says the collective power of 15% of the people. He said 15% of the people live in this God's not angry, everything's okay realm, which we've got to be, if you follow this, is you got to be a big part of those 15%, because you guys, life's starting to happen for you in a great way for a lot of you. Or a lot of you. It says actually counterbalances the negativity of all the people in religion and politics. Because the scale of power advances logarithmically, one person at a consciousness of 1,000, in fact, totally counterbalances the collective negativity of all humanity. Kinesiology testing or energy testing has shown this. So watch this. One person at 700, where you just, everything's okay. You realize you're connected to everything. Oh, wow. God loves all creation. It says one individual at 700 can bend the reality and change the reality of 70 million people living in fear. One individual at 600 counterbalances 10 million individuals below level 200. 12 individuals at 700, just giving you another example, 12 individuals, 12 people that get this at 700 can change 70 million individuals. That's really, really cool. And he says the difference in power between a loving thought and a fearful thought. This will help all of you guys, because people go, oh my God, I had a bad thought, where you saw something that caused you to react. Hey, don't worry about it, because these emotions of peace, love, joy, acceptance, everything's okay, neutrality even. You know what? It doesn't matter who gets elected. This is a great time to talk about this. And both sides, guys, are guilty of this. That's why anything that divides is not truth. And if this person gets elected, I'm talking about for us in the U.S. and the rest of the world's kind of watching, like, what are you guys doing? This person, it'll be the end of our democracy. The other side's saying the exact same thing. They're operating down here. Fear, anger, stirring it up. Whereas you go, it doesn't matter who gets elected, because I know that if I can generate peace and love within myself, one person that's experiencing peace and love counterbalances millions of others, which is great. So he says the difference in power between a loving thought and a fearful thought is so enormous as to be beyond the capacity of the human imagination to even comprehend. We can see from the analysis above that even a few loving thoughts during the course of the day more than counterbalances all your negative thoughts by sheer power. Meaning, I can do work, bust my rear end, if you do this, 7 habits of highly effective people, all these different things of human effort, guys. Whereas a few minutes of peace in prayer and meditation What would life be like if I knew that all my prayers would be answered? How would I design my life? How would I feel? What would I look like? Who would I be loving this life with? And if I can enjoy that for a few minutes a day, I know that's enough to change the whole thing. It's on its way. Once you get a hold of the truth that there is a love, there's a harmony, there's the source of all creation that watches me, that loves me, and pays attention to me. It goes, ooh, let's add this little thing. Not only are you going to receive that, we can be so sure, guys, that this love has seen me and answered my prayer. It's on its way. That is a completely different energy of wondering if I did it right. Did I meditate at the right time? Did I have the right posture? Did I do this right? Did I have my fingers right? Yeah, that's fine. But one loving thought's enough to do the whole thing, guys. Pretty cool, isn't it? So can we change our energy and bend reality? Absolutely. So I'll finish with this one. Um, and I've shared this before, but this is the whole point of why we're going to start doing the weekly meditations. One, because if there's a handful of people that know this, and I know a lot of you know how to do this, and when we come together at a certain time, a handful of us can change literally the consciousness of the whole world. That's kind of the whole goal of the company we're putting together, is transforming lives, raising the consciousness of the whole world. So here, this is how the Joe Dispenza, the peace projects, guys, the history of peace gathering projects, that's becoming supernatural, page 289 in mine. I don't know if you have a smaller book, if it's the same page, but it's in the Project Coherence, Making a Better World. It says a powerful example is the Lebanon Peace Project, which brought together a group of meditators in Jerusalem in August, September of 1983. Almost exactly the same today, guys. If religion would work, we wouldn't still be fighting over the same piece of dirt 2,000 years later. So it says they radiated influence of peace, meaning they weren't praying to God, oh Lord, please come back soon, God, and rearrange this. Or they didn't have any of these concepts. God's coming back in judgment. Our side's going to beat your side. Our God's going to beat your God. Completely divisive, guys, and not truth of how the whole world works. Now, that may come up as a shock if you spent your whole life in church, but it's truth. It actually works, which is why, like Joe Dispenza was saying, when a handful of people radiate peace and love in their own mind, they see stage 4 cancers go away. We're having the same things, guys. We're seeing miracles and testimonies all the time. And it's almost immediate. You start doing the meditations, guys, it's almost immediate that you'll see results, which is exciting. So it says they brought together a group of meditators in Jerusalem in August, September of 1983 to demonstrate that it works. In other words, the number of meditators fluctuated over time. It was often large enough to achieve the super radiance effect. Don't worry about any of that. Like I said, a handful of people can do this for both Israel and nearby Lebanon, meaning they weren't picking sides. They weren't standing for one religion or nation over another. This effect happens when a group of meditators come together on a daily basis to create and radiate a positive effect on society. The results of the 2-month study showed that on days where they had a high participation of meditators, meaning, guys, if you do it, it works, they had a 76% reduction of war deaths. That's big, guys. A small reduction. Like if you had 100 people that died in a car accident, and if you just change this one little thing, now only 13 did, which would be a 24 did. That would be a 76% reduction. That's fantastic. There's nothing that we can do, speed limits, everything else that does that. The results of the 2-month study showed that there was a high participation, 76% of war deaths occurred. Other effects, including reduced crime, fires, decreased traffic accidents, terrorism decreased, and the economies in both countries increased. Praise God, right? The results were then replicated in 7 consecutive experiments, meaning you can do this over and over and over. It's truth. It's truth of how things work. That's why you can reproduce it. You don't have to run to this city because you heard about somebody healing. The healing's within you and all around you, and it loves you. All we have to do is change the energy to think and feel as if we've already been healed for a couple seconds a day. It says that peace is so powerful, it overcomes all the worrywart thoughts you had the rest of the day. It's awesome. They were replicated 7 times over the same 2-year period during the peak of the Lebanese war. All of this was achieved simply by combining people's intentions for peace. They thought about what it looked like. and they felt what it would feel like knowing that that prayer had already been answered. This clearly demonstrates that the more unified the consciousness of a group of people with a specific energy is, or emotion, or your feeling, the more it changes consciousness and the energy of others in a non-local way. It changes others in a non-local way. Remember we started this? Can we really change the energy and override somebody else's will? Yeah. Yeah, if it's to increase, if it's increase and to elevate them, to love them, yeah, of course, because that's our natural nature. If you're like, if your energy is to hurt them, to compete with them, etc., you both lose. You're hurting yourself and the other person. In what's considered one of the top 3 peace gathering studies in the Western Hemisphere, the RAND Corporation, which is a huge think tank, assembled a group of 8,000 people. Guys, we can get 8,000 people on our weekly meditations very quickly. They train meditators to experience world peace and coherence during these 3 periods ranging from 8 to 11. You know what they weren't doing? We must get this person elected to change this. It wasn't even on a thought, as it said. That's not even a concept. It was, I'm going to experience peace myself, and it radiates out of me. My thoughts and feelings have an energy, and that peace that I'm experiencing brings peace to the world, brings peace to these conflicts that religion can't solve. It's actually been the source of the problem. It says during those three-year periods from 8 to 11 days from 1983 to 1985, the results showed that during this time, almost exact, guys, terrorism was reduced by 70%. The other studies that they did, 76%. So terrorism was reduced by 72%. Can you imagine the results and positive effects if churches would teach this? Oh, no, it doesn't say that. I like to put some zingers in there. Versus, can you imagine the positive results if churches would teach this versus God's coming and he's going to judge you? That's horrible. Doesn't work. Puts fear into people. Creates the very thing you're trying to avoid by praying to God. Can you imagine the results and positive effects, as well as the speed, almost immediately, as I've been saying, which they occur if this type of meditation and mindfulness was a part of the education curriculum? What if we were taught this in churches and schools? And still another study, this time in India from 1987 to 1990, 7,000 people gathered and experienced world peace. It says focus, but it's really, I'm kind of changing it because they didn't focus on world peace. They did, but I know people well enough, especially if they've come out of or trying to come out of religion, a lot of the things they've been taught since they're a little kid. Focus on this. It's really, I'm going to experience peace. I'm going to experience what it would feel like if the whole world was already in peace. You'd be so grateful. You'd be so thankful. There'd be so much peace in your own heart. Thank you, Lord, for making this happen. I feel so loved. So that's what he's saying when they focus on peace. During that 3-year period, the world witnessed remarkable transformation. The Cold War ended. The Berlin Wall came down. The Iran-Iraq War, which is amazing in itself, different Muslims fighting other Muslims, came to an end, and South Africa began to move toward abolishing apartheid, and terrorist attacks around the world subsided. Here's the final quote. What surprised everyone was the swiftness with which these global changes occurred, all in a relatively peaceful manner. The swiftness. So, can you change your energy and bend reality? Yes, that's how it works, guys. So I would just encourage you, if you haven't, whether it's the meditations I'm doing in the Your Naturally Supernatural modules on rapidly turn your goals into reality, how to pray, how to experience peace in yourself and others, how to remove obstacles in your life. All it is, guys, is participating in those. There's reasons why we put those things in those short little meditations. It's really just to slow your brain waves down from anxiousness, fear, all those lower energies, to reprogram your thoughts and feelings and create a new energy that you're sending out. When you experience just a little bit of peace, it starts to rewire your whole being, and you start to become and have a peaceful life. It's pretty cool. It actually works. And what will surprise you, which it surprised the world, was how rapidly these things happened with very little effort and very little time. So hopefully that helps, guys.